Well, hello, Liberty listeners. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Road. Today, we get to take a quick break from all the stories we're telling you about the cool things you can do in your 50s as they apply to your vocation. Today, we want to talk with Laurie Gerber, who's a pro in this space, about relationships, specifically dating in midlife. And I would say dating over 50s, right, Laurie? Yeah.
You could say it either way.
Okay.
I like both of those phrases very much.
Well, before we get chatty, I just want to say welcome, Laurie Gerber, to the show. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's so good to be here with you.
I literally love listening to your voice. And I'm sure everybody else listening feels the same way. You have such a lovely voice.
I'm so glad. It's years of yelling on the sidelines at my kids' sports. Well, I don't know what it is.
It works. It's very sexy. I like it.
I'm so glad.
Okay.
I'm so glad.
All right.
And appropriate for a dating conversation.
I mean, it matters.
Right? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your background, because I find it really interesting how you got into this space. So can you give us the 30-second sort of elevator pitch of how Laurie got into this?
Yeah, and I'm a weird one because a lot of people got into this because they got divorced, then they had an awful experience dating, and then they figured out to be a dating coach, or people started asking them, but that is not what happened to me. What happened to me, nutshell, is I had a near divorce experience in my 30s. I ended up hiring a coach for my career who took one look at my marriage and said, you better start with your foundation, girl, because you're headed for a divorce. You're headed for tanking your relationship, and that's your foundation. So unless you want to get divorced, I would start there, not at your career. That blew my mind, and immediately I let her have access to every area of my life. She taught me what I now teach today, which is called the Handel Method. That was over 20 years ago. And what happened was I then went to work for her because I was already in a small business, running my own business, working for myself, selling my goods and services. And I thought, well, what I really would like to sell is this, because this method works and it's worked on every area of my life. So I went to work for her as an executive. And because I had saved my marriage had become very healthy and very functional and really got better and better over time. I'm now over 30 years with the same guy. When opportunities for love coaching or dating coaching, or we had a partnership with Match.com, it was called at the time, and Jdate and Zoosk and all these different dating sites, when they would come looking for a love coach, they would put me in front of that audience because I was somewhat credible when it came to love. And so I accidentally gained my 10,000 hours of experience with daters. And then when I became, once again, an entrepreneur, went off on my own to open Laurie Gerber Coaching Inc. and do my own, I still use the Handel Method, but, have my own audience, having to pick a target market, I thought, well, what's the most fun? And I thought, is it 38-year-old women who are dying to sell out to still have a baby? Or would I like perimenopausal and menopausal women and postmenopausal women who don't have to sell out, who don't have to consider the pressure to have a family, who don't have to people please anymore, who all of the opportunity of helping people date at that stage of life really got me excited. So I changed my focus a few years ago specifically to women in midlife and their re-entry to, or even reinvigoration of, their affinity for enjoyment of dating.
I love it. We have that in common, in that we both were serving audiences in one area and then said, hey, let's niche down. Let's look at what that midlifer. Yours is more expansive than midlife, but let's look at what she needs. And in your case, it's she and he, right?
I still coach everything. I still coach all genders. I still coach all ages. I still coach all topics. But my favorite is the midlife woman who wants to date again or is dating again and isn't happy. That's my favorite.
Okay.
It's just the most fun for me right at this moment.
So does that, when you say coach everything and everyone, does that mean beyond dating?
Yeah, I'm trained I got trained 20 years ago in this wonderful thing called the Handel Method, which was developed at MIT and Stanford. Yeah. It's comprehensive. It works. Like I said, I came and I wanted career coaching, and my coach looked at all my life.
Okay.
Looked at my fun, my spirituality, my family, my body, my health, my career, my money, my love. And she was like, okay, but that's a dumb place to start. You can't even think straight. Like, let's back up. Let's fix your marriage. Let's fix your relationship to yourself. Let's fix your relationship to food, because it was a freaking mess. And I was in love with sugar. I wasn't in love with my husband anymore. Like I really had I was cheating, but not in the usual way. So I fell in love with that holistic approach. So I still love and if someone hires me privately to coach them on dating, I'm not sticking to just dating.
Sure. Because you can't.
Of course your relationship with your body and your career and your money and your health and all that is connected. So yeah, I coach everything.
I love it. Okay. Well then, for everybody listening, when you fall in love with Laurie after this, know that she's available for those of you who need more than dating advice. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what is the difference between dating in your 50s and dating in your 20s. And we're just broadly picking those two categories.
Well, two major differences. Yeah, one is you've lived a whole life. Yeah. Right? You've developed you know the temperature you like to sleep in, you know where you want to live, you're very happy with your pet situation, you probably launched your kids. So much more is solidified. And even I find with a lot of the women I work with, working for you than maybe it was in your 20s and 30s. You are happy. You're settled. You know yourself. There's so much that's working. So then thinking about bringing in a mate is a very different. And you're not then you still can grow together, but so much more is already molded. So that's one thing. And the second thing is everything's happening online, right? It just wasn't true in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't all happening online. People were still meeting at school, at church, at synagogue, at community events, at bars, in the wild. And you can still meet in all those places, but so much more is happening from the safety and comfort of our own homes. And COVID certainly solidified that, right? We're all really comfortable at our computers and doing so much stuff that used to be face-to-face and live. So that's a huge change from when we were younger. That's very specific to midlife women right now.
Right.
Because we're in both worlds.
The thing that you just said about us being in our 50s, and I would say in midlife in general, that is an asset or that is a positive, that we know ourselves, that things are working for us, that we're comfortable with our pet situation, our living situation, all the things you said. Are those also the things that we have to overcome because we're sort of set in our ways?
Right. It's a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
And I, of course, want to talk about the positives, but it is also a negative because you are not as open-minded that you could change those things, want to change those things. So I love a midlife woman because she isn't going to settle, or she's less likely to settle, but she's also less likely to care enough to do the work of meshing a life with a new person. So that's the downside of it, is that when you really do have to walk that line of, I could change, is it worth it? And you do have to convince yourself, you know what, it is worth it because I want to be with somebody. I want the learning and the growth that comes with being with someone. I want the added foot rubs, conversations, someone has my back, a best friend, a travel companion, another pet, maybe, so, but what we can do now is really weigh the benefits versus the costs, in a way that's just so much more honest and clear and present than we could when we were just like, I got to get the baby, right? I got to get the baby. I got to get this done before I'm X years old. So that's what I find exciting about this period.
And that makes sense in dating in so many areas of our life at this stage. One of the things when you and I talked before that I love, I'll never unhear this, is you were talking about kind of your 3H method. And I just need our audience to hear it so they too cannot ever forget you saying this.
No, it's so indelible. Yeah. And it is a Handel method, right? This is from that methodology I learned 20 plus years ago that changed everything. And this applies to so many different areas of life, actually. But the head, the heart, and the hoo-ha are the 3 H's. So these are the 3 voters inside you that always want to have a say. Your practical mind, what works, what looks good on paper, that's your head. Your heart, how it feels. And your hoo-ha, what turns you on.
Yeah.
And then that's not just in who you're dating. It's obviously very applicable to who you're dating, but it could apply to a new outfit, a new job, a new business venture, buying a home. There's 3 voters inside of us. And what we have done up until realizing all 3 should get a vote is we let them lobby. We let them fight. We let them compete. We let one overrule the other. And oftentimes only one or two get a real voice, and the third one is left high and dry.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ever go away. It really doesn't, right? And that's why there are so many midlife divorces, is because that usually that H that's been ignored, it might be your hoo-ha, it might be your heart. Probably it's one of those, because you're probably married for head. And it just won't shut up anymore. It wants to be heard. And so then you can swing the pendulum and only care about that H and forsake the other two, or you can have the amazing revelation, which is what I'm trying to shout from the rooftops, is no, you can have all three, but not if you don't think it exists, right? You have to actually think it exists before you can look for it and find it.
In when you say exist, so acknowledging that you need each of those votes to be in the positive category. They need to be checked, or at least you need to be aware of it and reconcile that I'm willing to compromise on that.
I mean, Netta, I'm so nerdy about this.
Yeah. Let's get nerdy. Go.
There's hours of content on this topic, but I have you chart your criteria. It's literally becomes a grid of head, heart, and hoo-ha criteria. That's a whole process in and of itself. I lay it out in the free webinar. And what you're doing is you're spending your first 3 dates learning the answers to the questions that connect to each of your criteria. So let's say you have the criteria, I want to kiss them in hoo-ha, right? So then you have to ask yourself, do I want to kiss them? Let's say you have the criteria politically active under head. So then you have to go, hey, how's this election going for you? You know, how are you reacting to the current administration? You have to have the questions lined up to find out whether your criteria are going to be met or not. And I have a whole color coding and rating system. But the bottom line is, I demand my clients, if they want to have a fourth date with somebody, all 3 H's need to be 8 or above on a scale of 1 to 10. I make it quantitative like a teacher, 8 or above. And I tell you what the ratings mean, right? It's not just, it feels like an 8.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 or above on a scale of 1 to 10 in head, same in heart, same in hoo-ha. And if you can't get the ratings 8 or above in all 3 H's, it's a pass. Okay,
so now I have to ask, you're somebody who's been married 30 plus years?
25. I got married in 98.
Okay, so but you've been together, I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
you've
been together over 30. Correct.
So I'm with you. I'm tracking with you. Same. Been married 26 years. We were together 5 before that. So we're the same. So what do I... asking for a friend. What do I, what is some, I'm in a marriage. I'm happy in my marriage. I want to continue my marriage. We're definitely approaching that. We've got one left in our nest.
Me too.
What do we do to, with these 3 voters?
With the 3 H's.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do we do with that at this point when we've got one leaving, we're going to be looking at each other doing so now what, right? What totally. I haven't talked to you about these things in 20 whatever years since the kids were born. So how do we realign with those 3 H's?
It's such a fun activity actually to do your chart. To go, what am I looking for in head? Which will be different, right? Because obviously what we were looking for when we wanted to make babies was, will be a good father, will have an income, we were looking for very specific things in head. Now we're looking for something different. We'll do crossword puzzles with me. We'll travel to these places with me. We'll take a pickleball with me. We'll keep his health in good. We'll see the doctor. Our head criteria are totally different. Our heart criteria might be the same, but it might be different. I instituted, right around when perimenopause began, I instituted 2 new rituals with my husband that have been unbelievably game changer rituals. We have a morning meeting and we have an evening meeting.
Every day?
And every day. It's great because we take our kid to school, we drop the kid off at school, and then we go for a jog in the woods and we have our morning meeting on the jog. So we get exercise accomplished, outdoor time accomplished, fresh air, plus connection. And then we do we've been starting to do our evening as a walk as well after dinner. So we think we're geniuses with these 2 rituals, but they're very short rituals. The morning is just, we call it a feelings party. So the morning is just, how are you feeling? Physically, mentally, emotionally, blah, blah. It's just listening. It's just being there. It's just love, right? Love is a verb. So that's the morning meeting. The evening meeting, we go through specific questions. And they're questions we design every year on our anniversary. That's our anniversary ritual. We make new commitments to each other. We make new vows. And then we have questions that go with that. So for example, I am working on my snarky, obnoxious attitude, and I'll admit it, okay? And it didn't get better with perimenopause. So every night I answer the question, was I snarky, right? I get a chance to be accountable for that, apologize for that. I also talk about my accomplishments of the day and the magic of the day and what I want to be grateful to him for. And so we have this ritual, and he does a similar set of questions, but specific to him. So our heart, what we each wanted for the heart, really has changed over the years. So we re-upped our rituals, our practices to be based on what we now want from one another. And by the way, knowing we have those 2 times every day, boy, does that cut down on midday texting or interruptions or any kind of real conflict or angst during the day where we're both really still trying to work for a living. So, and then hoo-ha, oh my gosh, does that change in perimenopause? So again, what do I want now? What do I want now? Again, I mean, there's no way I could speak for all women. Everybody is so different. But what I want now is different from what I wanted then. Sure. And my husband loves me and wants me to have fun and have pleasure, and I want that for him. So of course we have to keep talking about that. So do your 3H chart, right? Go, you can do the webinar and I'll take you through all the steps. You'll know it's for daters, it's not for you, but you can still make your chart. And he should make his chart, and you should do it separately. And then come together and have a meeting and go, how are we doing? Are we fulfilling each other's criteria, or are there some things we can just easily tweak and change because we love each other and we're staying together to make each other so much happier and more satisfied?
Yeah, I love that it begins with kind of an audit, right? There's this opportunity for audit, and then it gives us language, it gives us containers in which we can sort of, okay, now I know, and I've got some framework to work within.
Right. And it might be less vulnerable to be like, well, this is what the chart says.
Yeah.
This is my hoo-ha.
This is not me.
This is not
me. The chart says.
It's the hoo-ha. Right. And by the way, this same exercise could lead to a divorce. Yeah. Right. I'm not promising when you do that, that your partner's going to want to meet your needs, or vice versa. Right. I mean, you could do your charts and your partner's like, I want to see other people. And you're like, I don't.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but I would say even then that was all underneath. You're not, It's not like I went to Laurie and I got a divorce. It's I went to Laurie, did the process, and what was underneath came to the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Still a good exercise. I still recommend the exercise no matter what your situation is.
Yeah. And you keep referring to your webinar. So we'll make sure to link for everybody in the show notes so that they know how to access you, because I think we're going to pique some interest in this podcast.
Right. And we just can't go into it all in a short conversation. We can't.
But I like skimming over everything and learning more about your work. So what would you say, I'm going to call them the secrets. You have another word, I'm sure. What are the secrets to finding this kind of loving relationship? We know that there's the 3 voters that we need to pay attention to.
That's for sure the number one secret.
Is the secret, even within that, like they all have to be above the 8, as you said? Or is it just an awareness of what we're willing to negotiate?
No, it's hold out, right? It's hold out for all 8 and above. The other big secret is, because the biggest mistake women make is staying too long in the wrong relationship, because we invested. I think it's called hopium. I can't think of the author that coined that phrase, but that phrase is quite now it's, I think, in the common parlance. But hopium is that wish, right, that something would turn out, and it's once we invest in a stock, we really want to stay in until it goes up. So this is why I have the strategy of no 4th date, unless I call it the 3-date strategy. And so because we make that mistake, the secret is get out early, right? Get out after the 3rd date if all 3 H's aren't firing. And if you're like, Laurie, 3 dates is not enough, then you're not doing the dates right? Like, I'm going to tell you, then you need longer dates, you need quieter dates, you need dates in a coffee shop. You need dates on a walk. You need to date better and have better questions and have better answers if you don't think 3 dates is enough to know if someone could be 8 or above on all 3 ages, or you're in denial and you're looking for casual, which is fine. That's a different thing. So that's a real secret, is don't go on a 4th date or a 5th date or a 6th date or try to solve it with sex, because you will end up stuck in another relationship that isn't the right one for you.
This is so good.
And by the way, if it sounds like your last one, if it's getting any kind of vibe like your last one, or a reaction to your last one that's the extreme opposite of your last one, both of those are red flags.
That's good. That's good. And this is good for anybody.
Yes, it is timeless. Some of this is timeless.
Yeah.
Ageless.
How you I think make this great distinction in understanding deal breakers versus triggers and reactions, which I thought was genius. Can you help us understand how we determine which is which and therefore respond accordingly?
And I think one of the problems is, especially when we've made our peace with being alone, or single, we could react very badly to a trigger and call it a deal breaker. Let's say someone's like not in shape, or they lie on their profile, or they don't text you back right away, or they are still entangled with an ex, or they've got problems with their kids, or they're bald, or, there's something that triggers you, right? That triggers you and makes you scared and afraid. It's not necessarily a deal breaker.
Right.
Right. And I don't want you to lose the chance, first of all, to find the love of your life. And second of all, to grow and evolve in relationship with other people, because we're not done growing and evolving.
Yeah.
At any age. We're not done growing and evolving. So, and we actually want our relationships to help us grow and evolve. So the person we pick to be with has to have some issues. I call it 7 liabilities. And because I notice it's usually about 7 that, quote unquote liabilities, where there's something that's wouldn't be your first choice.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can handle it. And you can either think it's charming and cute, or you can tolerate it, or you can work with it and actually use it as an opportunity for yourself to grow and also for them to grow.
How many of these things, and I'm again asking for that same friend, how many of these things are just a mirror that's being held up?
Right.
Like when you said the bald thing, I have no issue with bald. But I imagine I know some women who do. And at this stage in life, is that an issue with bald? Like you just don't find that attractive? Or is that a trigger that you're like, I'm aging? It's like a mirror.
Right.
So how do you help people better understand that?
Very simple. And thank you for asking, because this is important. Once you do your 3H chart, folks, you're not going to do a good job on the first time. You're going to write down things that are shallow, vain, inappropriate. Actually, you're not going to describe a man sometimes, like you'll describe a person, but more like a best friend who's a gal, right? And so people make a lot of mistakes when they first say what they want. They're actually not, it's actually not true. It's not to the depth of the truth of their soul what they want. And so I ask some very simple questions. What do you mean by that? What do you mean financially successful? What do you mean handsome? What do you mean well-groomed? What do you mean good hygiene? What do you mean? What do you mean? And then I say, why do you care? And then I say, who taught you to care about that?
Wow.
And then I just want to listen to what the answer is, because there really might be a very valid reason. And there really might be a very shallow, silly reason that needs to be outgrown. I will just give my own silly example. I really thought I needed to marry a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
And I was raised like, I mean, my parents never said it explicitly, but it just was something I was connected to my identity. And I thought, and I wanted to raise my kids with the traditions that I was raised with. So I absolutely thought that that's what I wanted. And then I met my husband, who is the son of a Presbyterian minister.
Not Jewish.
Just not a Jew. Not just not a Jew, but really not a Jew.
Yeah.
And one of the first conversations I had with him was, I really want to raise my kids with, and I'm not very religious at all, but I just, these are some traditions.
As traditions, right?
Pass on to my kids. And he said, well, first of all, we had a Seder at my church, so I'm very familiar. with these Jewish traditions. I'm not a particular fan, he says, of organized religion, being the son of a clergy person. So if that's what you want, I don't have a problem raising the kids Jewish. And then he went on to convert.
Wow.
Like I didn't ask him to, I didn't need him to, I didn't want him to. And we raised our kids Jewish. And I just, if I had, I also wanted, blonde hair and blue eyed, right? Because, the movies, right? So if I had trusted my first instinct on what it was that was going to make me happy and be a long-term healthy, lasting relationship, I would have been so wrong. So I really have people try to drill down on what do you really want? What do you really need? And usually it's things like, I need to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I need to want to tell this person things. I need to feel like they want to tell me things. I need to be attracted and want to look at the face.
Yeah.
I need to have my life intertwined with theirs. I need my dreams and their dreams to not be mutually exclusive, to line up reasonably well. It's not tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah.
It's and financially successful.
But it's like replace, Maslow with Laurie. Like you're helping them to get to that more truthful, more even, I would say, soulful, truth, connection.
Yes, soulful.
Yeah.
I think that's a good word.
Yeah.
Essential.
Yeah. Essential.
Soulful.
Essential. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question. And this applies to people who are dating. This applies outside of a marriage and people who are dating within a marriage. I'll ask it like that.
Great.
We know at this point of life, stuff happens. Really hard things happen. And that list that we had gone into, even if somebody checked the 3 H's and they were 10s, they were 11s, we move through life and things change. Things happen. What is you, and this is maybe your life coach, not your dating coach hat, like, how do you advise people to not just take that hard thing, the financial security thing kind of got ripped from under them, a child had an issue, they're sandwiched between generations and it feels like it's a lot. It's heavy. A health issue comes in.
This is my life.
Yeah. Yes. How do you help people when they're trying to overcome those heavy things where, again, they did all the things, all the H's lined up, they're doing their morning walks and their late night and they're following you and your husband.
Are they hydrated? Are they sleeping? Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then those things come in. What do you say to them?
Yeah. This is an easy answer for me. And I think it's good for everyone. Your partner cannot be your everything. They simply cannot be, no matter how great they are. My husband is amazing, but if he had to absorb 100% of my emotional, oceanic vibrations and outpourings, it would be a problem, right? So I have a coven of women. I have a coach. I have people around me who take care of me, right? Who professionals, friends, and and everything. And it really does take a village, especially in midlife when everything is falling apart, literally.
Yeah.
And it's quite a moment. So, and nobody gets through that, no matter how great their partner is. Nobody gets through that without a village around them. And so I am very careful to allocate my needs. So it's diversified. I mean, today after the walk, I came home and I said, honey, I'm not better yet. I still want to throw a temper tantrum morning. And then I went on another walk and called my coach. And then I was okay. And then I texted my husband, okay, I'm okay. The coast is clear. The day can continue. So there are hard things. I think I can relate to almost everything you said on the list just right now in my life. And I need all of the supports, all the health stuff, the mental health stuff, the friendship, all of it. And
so it's two things I heard is one, being self-aware. I mean, you were self-aware enough to kind of tap into yourself and say, what's actually happening here? What is causing anxiety, stress, anger, rage, whatever it was? And how do I address it? Instead of try and just get through my day, how do I address it? So I think that's one thing I heard. And then the other thing is that it's a set of relationships. It's not that we're relying on. in order for that one relationship to be healthy, it requires a set of relationships.
For both members,
Yeah.
right? Not, that goes for both members. My husband needs that too. Less than I need it probably, but
Yeah.
he still needs that
Yeah.
too. I can't be the only one. And by the way, I didn't know that when I was younger. I really didn't. I did muscle through it, to use your word. I did mind over matter, muscle through, get through. I didn't.
I think most of us did, no? Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely the era.
Yeah.
And and we could do it hormonally back then.
Yeah.
we could get away with that. We had some adrenals left.
Yeah. No options now. No options now.
Yeah. We just have to become spiritual.
We do. You talk about kind of the inside job and the outside job that you help people to identify. So let's first define what that is, and then I have some follow-up questions. What is the difference? And make those distinctions for us, please.
Okay, so I think we're talking about dating, and I break down dating into categories of there's the readiness phase, there's the on the court phase, and then there's the early relationship phase. And those each require different coaching, different tools. And I really honor each phase. I think the on the bench phase where you're watching and learning and figuring it out and fixing your mindset and getting ready is so beautiful. We don't want to rush that. And again, midlife, you actually don't have to rush. I know a lot of people still feel a rush because they're like, once I turn 60, the algorithm, blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh. Okay, that is the tail wagging the dog. Okay. So there is no rushing in this game. If you're in that phase, you're in that phase. And that's when you're doing the inside job work, really. And I've laid this out into 34 obstacles because whenever someone would present an obstacle to me, I would write it down. And it turns out there's 34. And if I discover a new one, good news, nobody has had a new one in a really long time. I'll come up with the answer to it and I'll make the list 35. But for right now, it's 34 things. And nobody has all of them. Most people have between 10 and 15. So some of them are inside jobs and some of them are outside jobs. So some of the inside jobs are things like an unresolved incident from their childhood or their young life or their marriage that didn't ever get resolved, or a relationship to their own body that's not resolved, or a relationship to their finances or their career success. Often that's for men. So that's the inside, or even just not taking care of themselves, not loving themselves, not doing a good job showing themselves the love that they would like someone else to show them. Mm-hmm. That's the inside job stuff. And of course, that's connected to family of origin and all the things that have shaped you, nature and nurture. The outside job is things like, do you know how to write a profile? Simple things like that, right? Simple, straightforward things like that, which I have a 34-page guide on how to pick a dating site, and then just piles and piles of advice on how to create a profile that, by the way, it keeps changing because the sites change and the algorithms change and things change on how we do things. Now people think they can use AI for their dating profiles, for example.
Oh, gosh.
Which makes me crazy. Yeah. But anyway, so that's the outside job. And I am still amazed by how much people don't understand what a dating profile even is. That it's an ad. Like you don't answer the questions.
What do they think it is?
They look at the prompts, and it says something like a recent adventure I had, or a perfect Sunday is, or what I'm looking for is, and they're just trying to answer the question versus understanding that this is there's 10 things you need to communicate that set you apart and that signal who you want, and you have to put those into the prompts. Right. Or you got to write the prompts to convey what you want. And God forbid you're boring or you go on, or you don't have good pictures. I don't know what to do. So that's the simple outside job stuff. And again, there's 34 things, so I'm not listing all of them, but that gives you an idea. And I like to start with the inside stuff because the outside stuff is much easier when you've done the inside stuff. But they go well together, right? You can jump around.
And I would say they're probably much easier for you as presenting yourself outside, but also for you from seeing other people's outsides. Because if you've done the inside work, you have a better sense of what you're looking for and who you are.
For sure. That is kind of brilliant, actually. The more you know yourself and the more you're working on being honest, the better you can detect if someone else is. Sure. It's a spiritual thing even, I would say.
It makes sense.
Yes.
How do we apply that? Again, I keep asking for those listening who have a current relationship, who are in a current relationship.
Right. Oh, so good. Love this. You're forcing me to think on a lot of levels at once, which my menopausal brain is only slightly mad at you for. Okay. So it really is the same thing, right? Like this morning, should I have called my coach first or talked to my husband? Like, should I have worked on myself first or tried to get what I wanted from my husband first? It's a really good question. And the answer is both, right? That a relationship is not growing unless each individual is continuing to feed themselves with the attention and care and self-reflection that they need. And my husband and I have that ritual of once a year, we go, well, what do we want to work on this year? Right. So we're not ever outside of a learning, growing context because we have growth mindset. We believe in that. We like that. That's part of what keeps things fresh and fun and life interesting. And so you have to be working on yourself. Each member of the couple has to be working on themselves. It could look really different. Okay. It could look really different. For my husband, if he goes to the doctor, it's personal growth, right? Like he gets credit. If he shows up to those meetings with me, come on, that's personal growth. Like he really gets a lot of credit. And so my point is the way you do it and the way I'm like doing yoga and meditating and doing all these spiritual things. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need it. He really doesn't need it. He likes to play games, literal games. Yeah. That's his that's his relaxation and downtime. So you can't judge how the other one is doing it, but you both need to be nourishing yourselves and doing it. And so it's a red flag if one party isn't. And it's also a red flag if you're not also feedbacking each other and continuing to talk about what you want now, what you desire now, what you need now. I saw a wonderful interview with Joan Price. I don't know if you know her. She's an 80-year-old sexologist.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. I just listened to an interview with her, and she just talks about changing bodies and that if you're not re-upping the conversation, it's like you're with a stranger again. And no two bodies are the same, but no two bodies stay the same. Or if we want to be together forever, it's going to keep being a new and different person.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
And so she gave me this great phrase, what does my body need now? Which is a great thing to ask yourself with regard to hydration, food, drink, movement, sex, my partner, all of it. What does my body need now? That's such a loving thing. It's literally what we wish our mother would have asked. Yeah. Our whole childhood. Right now you get to mother yourself and say, what does my body need now? And you get to tell your partner, this is what my body needs now or what my body wants now. How sexy is that?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I think I know how the inside outside, I think you already described how it applies to dating, but I have a question about, and this is across the board. You talk about the feedback thing. How do we know when it's healthy feedback versus when it's just a nagging, like eating away at each other? Ugh.
Yeah. Okay. This is the distinction I give my clients. There's purge mode and problem solve mode. Purge mode is when there is emotional content. There is emotion behind what you're going to say. I'm angry at you and you can tell. Okay, that is purge mode. I frankly suggest to my clients and to myself that when you're in purge mode, when you want to kill someone, you don't go directly to that person. You go to a coach, a therapist, or a friend who will not get sucked into it with you. Okay, who will just listen and let you detox your emotions until you can get grounded again in, well, what did I want that I didn't get? Or what would I like? Or what would I wish had gone differently? Or what is my request? Okay. So problem solving mode is like, okay, I have a request in the future. Could this morning I had a list of requests that came out of my meltdown, just simple things like, could you get the laundry? We just moved, could you get a laundry routine? Could you put my blinds up? Turns out he already had done so, so there's purge mode and problem solve mode. Purge mode is emotional laden. Don't do it over text. Don't even do it directly with the person you're mad at. And then problem solve mode is when you have come down and you can say, when you said this, I felt this, my reaction was this. What do you think? How do you feel? What's going on for you? And could you put my blinds up? Like, could you install the blinds and do the laundry? Things like that.
That's a good way of sort of measuring our mental process. Like, okay,
right.
what's about to come out of my mouth right now? Let me
You
figure
can
out.
usually feel it.
Yeah,
feel it in your body. Like, do you have a knife in your hand, or are you coming in peace?
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, men love to solve problems. Right?
Yeah.
If you just lovingly, or even vulnerably, or even with a tear in your eye, come to a man and go, "Could you just, fix the blinds for me?" Like, they want to do that, right? But if you come like, "You jerk, you don't love me, you're messing up," they run away.
Yeah.
Run away.
It's counterproductive
not to generalize.
it's counterproductive for both parties. In your history of coaching people in their dating relationships and their marital relationships too, what would you say these are the foundational things? These are the things that you've got the three voters done, you've moved along, and you've been able to identify that these core things need to exist in order for a relationship to be
so
healthy.
You're asking what are the things that need to exist for it to be healthy?
To build on.
I thought you were asking something different.
Oh,
interesting.
Wait, what did you think I was asking? Because you
thought
lit
you were
up.
Asking,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to remember both questions, I think, that are in there. The first thing I want to say is that no matter how good you become at the strategy of dating, or, you get your 3H chart perfectly and you follow the rules and you don't have a fourth date and you make a great profile and you do all those tactical things, if you do not believe in love, or you do not believe in love for yourself, you're not going to find it, right? If you're just not. So if there's something from your history, from your childhood, from your family of origin, or a past relationship that is still haunting you, you can't leave that for dead. It's not dead. It's very much alive. So that's one thing. And if you don't know your relationship patterns, which again, we have an exercise for that, but most people have one or two patterns. And once you see it, it's like, oh, of course, right. But I had a client just the other day, 57-year-old, beautiful woman. We had talked about her patterns. We had talked about her relationship history. And 2 sessions later, I said, so we were reviewing the 34 things. And I said, so do you know your pattern? And she was like, no. I just thought to myself, what? How can you not know we've talked? It's so glaringly obvious to me, but we don't want to know it. It's like, we don't want to identify with the pattern because it's who we are and who we've been. And that would invalidate a lot of years. So you have to be resolved about your past truly, or you don't have to be. I'd highly recommend it for the best chance of success. You have to know your pattern and be willing to take a stand against it, which is kind of like sobriety. It's kind of a big deal. And you have to have self-love, so whatever else that means. So that could mean how you treat yourself in terms of diet and exercise. For me, I was tanking my marriage because I was addicted to sugar. I was in a relationship with an addiction that was more powerful in that time than my relationship with my husband. So those are the kinds of things I think you need to actually be ready to believe in love for yourself and really attract the kind of love that you deserve, right? The kind of 3H love I'm talking about. But then I think you were actually asking, what are the essentials to a healthy relationship?
Yep. You got it.
And the studies show that happy, healthy relationships, the greatest predictor of happy, healthy relationships, and nobody, when I ask, do you know what it is? Do you? Do you know what it is?
No.
Nobody ever knows. It's really, I've never heard anyone say the answer. I just learned this from research, is 2 people being happy before they got together. That's what correlates. It's not height or dark and handsome or religion or class or status or anything. So it's 2 happy, healthy people are way more likely to have a happy, successful relationship than any other factor that they measured.
So that must translate if you're in an existing relationship, like being independently happy in order for that happiness
right. Which
to
is
exist.
Why when couples come to me who are thinking about divorce, we first separate them and go, let's talk about your life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because if you're trying to deflect or keep an addiction going or avoid taking care of your health or avoid some financial ruin you put yourself, like if you're not going to deal with the personal integrity, the self stuff that the marriage is now triggering and forcing you to deal with, then that's just going to follow you to the next relationship. A divorce is not going to fix that. So let's So that's always the first stop, is let's clean up our side of the street. Let's make our life great. Let's make our relationship to ourselves great. And then we could talk about, does this union have a chance to continue serving both of you? Versus, no, you really don't have the same needs and desire. Your needs and desires now conflict where they used to match.
Sure.
So happy, healthy people is what makes a good relationship. And then a commitment to growing and learning together, and an ability to communicate, which is why stage 3 of the dating work is about communication and truth telling and how to have the hard conversations. Because without that, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
There's never going to be real intimacy.
Yeah. When you were talking about, and thank you for clarifying the question I was trying to ask, and you got it, and also filling in the blank with that other question. I want to go back to that really quickly. When you talked about your client, 56 or 7, who didn't understand her own pattern, right, in dating. Right. Do you automatically then say, whatever that is for any of us, when there's a lack of understanding of something we're bringing to the table or bringing into the relationship, do you then say, okay, let's back up? And I think based on your answer of 2 happy, healthy people, I think I know the answer. But do you then back up with her and say, well, wait a minute, the fact that you don't understand your pattern, like, let's you're not ready for dating. Like, let's.
I think she actually forgot. Right, like, can you name the planets right now? Like, probably not. But if you were like, oh, my very educated mother just,
sure,
like, you could bring it back if someone gave you a little hint. Yeah. So I think it's like that. But I do marvel at how much sometimes the most obvious things elude us. Mm-hmm. Like that we learned our love stuff from our parents. Like, so many people are walking around thinking they're making original mistakes, for example. Right? It just, but no. You're not.
Wow.
Good news, bad news, you're not.
You have a cool job. What cool work. I am so grateful for the work that you're doing, and I can just tell that you bring that to every aspect of your coaching. I mean, it's so clearly holistic. We're having this conversation about dating, and I'm thinking of some of the things that you just said as they apply to relationships with my female friends, with my kids, with my, my family of origin. Like, there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot there. So thank you for that. Last question I have to ask you, because of course this is Liberty Road, the podcast. How has your work as a coach, as a dating coach, we'll say for now, that's the work that you're focused on for now. How has that liberated you?
Oh my gosh. First of all, about 15 years ago, an astrologist told me that I should never work for anyone and no one should ever work for me. and I was working for the Handel Group at that time, and I was an executive in a company, and I had a lot of people working for both ways, and no. And then about 5 years ago, I, went independent again, and oh my gosh, the freedom. I love being an entrepreneur. I love not working for anyone. I love, and I do have a few people, poor souls working for me, but so I feel so liberated, and I feel so liberated working for myself, and I feel so liberated getting to choose my clients and getting to choose my niche and getting to, and what I love about this age is the liberation of it. I love that we're liberated from people pleasing and from our kids and from our, in many cases, our past choices, lovers, and all those things that we have been identified with. We are free of them to invent again. And that's what I love about dating this age group. Coaching dating in this age group. I'm not dating everyone in this age group. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to go.
I know, but that was awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie. I so appreciate your time. And I know that our listeners are going to be eager to connect with you. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And Liberty listeners, thank you guys for hanging out with me and with Laurie. Bye for now.